Hi everyone, my name is Antonio Ramirez and I am going to be presenting the ethnographic interview data analysis via PowerPoint. Why is it important to categorize something or someone by gender? It's not that it is important to categorize something or someone by gender, but it is to be familiar with a specific gender that anybody wants to identify as. For example, when you're dealing with education and having or being educated by certain genders, you're familiar with it. And if you're not, then you only know about it, but you're not educated of that gender or towards that gender. In Bangladesh, there is a third gender that is known as the Hijra, which are a transgender population. And they are always pushed aside by the whole society in general. And in Bangladesh, they are moved aside or they are, subjected to a lot of discrimination. And a lot of the times it's because they're not educated. The people there are not educated about this community. And if they are, they just, turn a blind eye to it and they don't really acknowledge it. So with that comes consequences, which would be sexual diseases, and transmissions. So if you're educated about this culture, then you would know that these people are suffering of all sorts of diseases, and if you can help, then you can help them be put on the map where people know about them and they're able to help them, rather than being completely rejected from the entire society overall. The interviewer response to views of LGBTQ in general are that they are more accepted by people uh, around the world in most places, but it is here in the United States where LGBTQ are known, we are educated by it, but not everybody accepts it. So that's the part where it's more of uh, why it is important to categorize something or someone by the gender, because at the end of the day, it's how they want to be seen, what they want to be identified as, and if it doesn't concern you as a person, then it shouldn't matter what or how you want them to be identified as by your views. So, how does culture play a role in deciding what is right and what is wrong? Ultimately, it depends on where you are living in, because in many countries, there's different rules or roles that, that culture plays on whether, what is right and what is wrong. For example, in Two Spirits, One Heart, Five Genders, the Euro Americans rejected the idea of having five genders due to religious beliefs. However, the Native Americans here, they believed that there was at least five genders, and there was nothing wrong with this. So to them, culturally, uh, this was not something that they viewed as wrong. Rather, there was something that they highly respected and had really high values towards. But it wasn't until the Euro Americans came and invaded where they brought their Christian beliefs, which in Christianity there is only heterosexual people, and that's what's accepted, not anything else. In another country that has culture play a role in deciding what is right and what is wrong is in the uh, in the Samoan culture where they see the Fa'afafine um, gender, and it's a gender that they also accept, and they don't see it as a bad thing. They think that if a cisgender male interacts with another Fa'afafine, which is a transgender male and androphiles, which again is known as the Fa'afafine. In this Samoan culture, um, it is suggested that they that they were for the most boys the first significant point of contact with a feminine person outside of their own families, and having sex within Fa'afafine to uh, was seen to be like a learning experience on how to be with a woman. That's why it was not something that was rejected, and the culture here um, saw it as uh, something that wasn't wrong, and it was something that was okay. In general, with the interviewees through the interview process, the overall response was that in the Western culture, this type of act with being having some sort of an affair with anything other than someone who was uh, not your sexual preference or something, it was not something that the Western culture does not accept, so it is seen as wrong. Thoughts on gender, sex, and culture. Interviewer response to gender, sex, and culture is mutual in a positive aspect, but outside the interviews, people use politics and religion to only accept binary gender and sexual preference to be heterosexual. Throughout the interview, I noticed that people seem to be more open to uh, LGBTQ, to be overall general, and we weren't able to find people who were opposed to it. Um, However, with the Sambia tribe, gender, sex, and culture do not oppose homosexuality and heterosexuality, but understood it to be part of male development, meaning that to them, if as a boy you did not have the body or the strength, anything that relates to being a male as a boy, so they believed that by ingesting uh, adult male semen, it would help you develop as a stronger, better, smarter warrior. When you reach adolescence or adulthood. So, with a overall conclusion, um, peace can be achieved by adopting views of other countries towards LGBTQ. However, we must not forget that regardless of general acceptance of the community, there is still a possibility to face backlash, and some cultures can be slow to change. And by this, I mean that there can be some backlash, or some cultures can be slow to change by some countries, some parts of the country not fully accepting this new law or uh, new freedom towards people, but it is said that for this to happen, uh, more of this community has to quote unquote come out, and that is how more of the movement will be accepted, as Piskarski explains in his 2019 article.